right, it's 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. We're not being live streamed, but being recorded so that it will be found on the internet later. Item 2.0, need a motion to adopt the agenda with the addendum to the agenda, as well as the update 1011 with the corrected summer school and supplemental assignments.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 3.0, approval of minutes, April 14th, 2025, regular meeting minutes.
I move we accept.
Motion.
Motion. I'll second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 4.0, consideration of bills and warrants, pages 6 to 31.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 5.0, hearing of requests and suggestions of citizens and organizations. Anyone not seeing anyone or hearing anyone? We'll move on to 6.0, accountability reports.
Got our post-secondary success update. Kylie and Tabitha are here from the high school.
All right.
And they've had a busy few weeks, it feels like. Awards assemblies and graduation.
Okay, hi. Hi. So my name is Kylie Lucas and Tabitha Ruth. We're here from the high school counseling department. And we're going to visit with you today about our post-secondary success. So just want to start with a quick statistic here. According to the study conducted by Georgetown Center for Education and the Workforce, 71% of the jobs in Kansas will require some additional form of education after high school. So what that means is that our graduates are going to have some sort of formal education beyond just their high school diploma in order to meet the needs of Kansas's workforce. I thought that was interesting and ties to tonight's topic because much of what we're trying to do to prepare our students for post-secondary success falls under the individual plan of study. And this is an idea that was charged by the KSDE clear back in 2014, and here we are still talking about it today for three main reasons. First and foremost, to help students feel prepared for their path towards college and career readiness. And KSDE wanted to implement the individual plans of study also because they felt like they had resources available to help school districts, and also because they added it to the accreditation model as well. So IPS overall goal, which I'm sure you're all familiar with by this point, is to develop that flexible career focus and education plan that's clearly defined, rigorous, and relevant to assure successful and efficient transition to the post-secondary education and/or workforce. So what is it that we are doing to get that going? Post-secondary success. So 4 major areas that I want to touch on tonight to brag about the good stuff that we're doing. We're going to talk about advisory activities, our participation in KBOR, or Kansas Board of Regents All-Star events, what we're doing during class time to complete college-bound requirements such as scholarship applications, and then also touch on the dual college coursework enrollment opportunities with specifically an academic advising focus. So this spring, freshmen have devoted most of their advisory time after student-led conferences to the color code personality assessment, which likens their personality to a specific color. And each week they learned about strengths and weaknesses, not only their own, but also how theirs differ from other personality types, and how to work best, and whether that be in the classroom or beyond the workforce, to know how to most effectively communicate with people like themselves and differing personality traits, and understanding their own personality, how it can help them to build meaningful relationships, how it can aid in conflict resolution, and how it can ensure that they are being team players. So we felt like the color code assessment went well. This particular group did have to repeat color code because they had done it in middle school already, but moving forward, we shouldn't have that repeat from this point forward. Sophomores, they conducted mock interviews, and those happened on Friday, May 2nd. We had over 20 different community professionals come in and help with those interviews, and the majority of the sophomore class did participate. I think it was around 90% who were able to do them that day in the moment. The others that were not able to participate, more than likely it was because they had another school-sponsored event, like the state forensics. So they were able to make that mock interview up with an administrator or myself. And leading up to mock interviews, the students drafted resumes, cover letters, and filled out practice job applications with the ultimate goal of helping them to become comfortable and confident in a real life situation. And they received constructive criticism on a scored rubric with comments, and they'll receive those back this Thursday in advisory so they can review them and take what they've learned out into the real world. Job shadowing also took place. It's an advisory activity. This is specific to the junior class. 71 out of 79 juniors participated, so really successful in my opinion. We had students out all over the community, from cosmetology to barbering to automotive. Beasley's and Mike Carpino both let students come into their facilities. Tank Connection, Do Common, all kinds, just all over. So we're so thankful for our lovely, wonderful communities, businesses, organizations, individuals for helping us out with job shadowing. Is just another really friendly reminder that we live in such a wonderful community. Willing to support our students in our endeavors there with college and career readiness. Yes, in Camorra, I went all the way to Joplin and shadowed Doug Hetty at KOAM. So it was a really cool experience for each of them. Yeah, the pictures we have here, Rebecca Shepard, photography, our KOAM student, and then from Beasley Automotive there. So the students in one of my classes, College and Career Explorations, for juniors specifically, they have the opportunity to do ongoing job shadowing or go multiple places throughout the semester, but the students who elect not to take that course, this is their one-day opportunity to do the job shadowing with a school excused absence. Okay, so seniors, one thing I didn't mention with the advisory activities, seniors added graduation portfolios. This is the first year I implemented those. This is my third year with the district, and so it was kind of on a year-by-year basis for implementing those new activities for advisory and IPS. And the graduation portfolios are a nice piece for those students to take with them to job interviews in college or to their actual job interview if they're entering workforce. And if anyone would like an example of that, I would encourage you to stop by my classroom to check those out. They went well as well. So moving on to kind of the second piece of this good stuff list is the All-Star High School activities. All-Star recognition comes from the Kansas Board of Regents, and they have 3 events that they like high schools to host. The Apply Kansas in October, which is a college application campaign. The free application for federal student aid or FAFSA completion event. Ours took place in January this year. And then the senior signing day. And each of these went really well.
We were one of the pilot schools to start Apply Kansas, so we've been doing Apply Kansas since 2013. So we've been on a while.
So Apply Kansas, I think we had, of the 80 participants, there were over 90 universities that students applied to, 50 community colleges. We had 2 who researched military enlistment opportunities, and then a magnitude of different community colleges, trade schools, technical schools. So you may have seen already that we were awarded the American College Application Campaign Award, and that award from ACT was given because of the Apply Kansas event. The next is the FAFSA completion, and we are sitting right now at only 42% completion for Parsons specifically, which does not thrill me. However, when you think about the senior class, and every senior class is different, there were only 52 who indicated in their senior exit survey that they were college bound. The others planned to join the workforce. That was much different than the last 2 years for me personally. So if we think about the 52 planning to go to college and that 37 who have submitted the FAFSA, that I'm a little more comfortable with that 71% completion or submission rate. And I did tell those seniors that they were able to reach out during my extended contract or over the next few weeks and into the summer even, and if they needed help with anything pertaining to FAFSA, that just because they've graduated doesn't mean we're not available to help them with that. So, and that final third event, senior signing day, we just had it last Monday. And I know when I think of a signing day, I always think of it being affiliated with athletes. So the senior signing day event that we host is for all students. It is not specific to athletes. We want to celebrate all seniors and their commitment to success and whatever that may be, if it's entering the workforce, joining the military, going to college, no matter what type of college. So we invited different representatives to come and have a photo op, and the seniors signed a certificate committing to their success in whatever their next adventure is, and it was a really fun event. Okay, moving on, talking more specifically about how students have class time specifically devoted to college-bound requirements, and a big piece of attending college is being able to afford college or making it more affordable. And so during the college orientation class, students are given time to apply for scholarships. This year, our seniors were awarded over $310,000 worth of scholarships, and that was up from last year by $99,000. So I'm anxious to see how the years progress. So we had a lot of really dedicated seniors, despite there being fewer number planning to attend college. The ones that are attending were super serious about applying for scholarships, and several went through very rigorous application and interview processes. One example is the Hagen Scholarship. In my first 2 years here, we only had one recipient for the Hagen each year. This year we have 5. So a very competitive application process to receive that Hagen Scholarship. It is need-based, so excited for those students. Yes, but it does cover a lot of the expense.
Okay, we're going to move on to dual credit and concurrent credit. These are our numbers that we have this year, which I feel like every year is going up and up. This fall, we had 77 students taking college classes. In the spring, currently, we have 128, which that number kind of shocked me when I looked it up. I didn't realize there was that many. What was even more shocking was the credit hour difference, because you would think it'd be the opposite. But what it is that we have more students in the fall taking 5 credit hour courses, and more students in the spring taking 3 and 1 credit. We have a lot of students doing OSHA in the spring, which is only 1 credit hour to do that. So, but these numbers are increasing all the time, so we're pretty excited about that. But with that, with the increased number, we wanted to make some changes. We're seeing that we've had some students that are not being successful, and I know that comes with the more you have taking it, you're going to have that. But I feel like there's more we can do to try to ensure that they are successful. Since COVID, colleges started doing, it started in COVID and it's continued past COVID, there's more online classes. There are not as many classes being offered on campus as there was that our students were attending. Also, LCC has moved to 4 days, so those classes are longer than they were before. So our students in the past could go take a class on campus, maybe be 5 minutes late to their next class if we timed it around lunch or first thing in the morning. Now they miss halfway into the next class. So it just doesn't work well with our schedule since they changed theirs. So that's another reason more of our students are doing online classes, because you can fit that anywhere in your schedule. But with that, we've had more students failing or drawing from college classes. We feel like they're struggling with time management and a lot of them are not using their time. We don't make them stay to do their online classes. Some of the schools around us do. They require them to stay on campus. They have somebody that monitors that room. And I realize with budgets the way they are, that's probably not going to happen. So we wanted to make some changes to try to help ensure their success and for us to be able to manage that and try to help them. So with that, if there's a college class that's offered on our campus in person, the student needs to take that option. We had students that were taking online class when they could take a class on campus. Sometimes that was because they wanted to take it at a certain time so they could have a longer lunch or things like that were happening. So we have quite a few classes on campus that they can, some of the main general ed requirements, English comp, psych, speech, CNA, anatomy and physiology, college algebra. We have quite a few classes that they can take on campus. So we'd like for them to take those if they can. And then we would like to limit the students to 2 off-campus or online, so either or first semester. That's not counting the ones that they're doing on campus. So we're not saying they could only do 2 college classes, but we would like to limit the number of online classes. I think that's also part of the issue. Some of the kids are getting in over their head on these online classes and taking so many and then struggling to keep up. Online classes have normally a lot more work. There's no lecture, so there's a lot more work involved in it. And so we would like to make sure that they are successful, so trying to do that. We were worried about also with the kids traveling, leaving. They don't have time a lot of times to go do their work, so they're just going down to the coffee shop, going down, get the donut or whatever, and not working on their work. So we would like to, we've changed it, we've tried, and this is it's not working perfectly, but tried to build the schedule where they can do them either first or second hour or 6th and 7th hour, so at the beginning and the end, so that they can start off doing their work, so if they can stay at home even and do that work, since we're not making them come in, and hopefully have more time to actually sit down and do it, or at the end of the day where they're not coming for a high school class, doing an online class, high school class, and that's what was happening a lot of the time, and they weren't spending time on that. We also want to, we've put it in those 4 hours so that we can monitor it. It's really hard for the two of us to be able to monitor 7 hours of the day. So by doing that, between the two of us, we're going to require them minimally to come in 1 time per week. As you may be aware, we got a little issue with online classes with the auditor because LCC does not do attendance for online classes. So we needed to find a way that we could take attendance. So our thought is on Thursdays. Thursdays, kids are used to, that's advisory time. So it's kind of a day that they're already used to doing this. So between the two of us, we'll find time to go in, and we'd like to first sign in so we have the attendance, and then check on their progress and see how they're doing, if they need any help, all of that. So that's the main thing, that's one of the main changes with the online classes, and trying to make sure that we're taking attendance with them. And then the last one, we would like for seniors to be enrolled in a minimum of 5 classes in the spring semester. Regardless, they have to if they're in CASHA activities, but we would like for that to be all students, unless they apply to be part-time. So if there's some, and I have an application for that, if there's some extenuating circumstance, I found that most of our seniors that were doing this were taking, and there was a lot that were only doing 1 or 2 classes in the spring. They weren't doing anything else. It's not like they were, they weren't starting college. Some were, but some of these were just doing nothing. And I'm of the opinion that there is value in taking classes that you don't necessarily have to have for graduation. We have a lot of classes, lots of electives that students can take, lots of CTE classes. And these seniors leaving is affecting those numbers, to be honest. And I think that not only for us personally is that good, but for them, because they might try, I've had that many times where a student needed to fill their class, it wasn't necessarily the class that they wanted to take, but they got in that class and ended up loving it. And some of them even ended up majoring in that after, and they never would have tried that class. And so I feel like our kids are missing out. I also feel like our younger students are missing out on role models. You came over, we tried to get some seniors, they weren't there. They just aren't in the building, and I feel like I'd like to have them in the building, like I said, as just role models, but they could also will help our CTE numbers, help our clubs, help our sports, extracurricular activities. So, and another thing with that, I know you have to have 5 for CASHA, but there's some students, especially in the spring semester, that maybe didn't think they were going to do baseball or track because, you've got the winter sport that overlaps in that, and then if they didn't take those 5 classes, then they can't. They're not eligible. So at that point, it's too late. So I feel like this might also, keep everybody eligible if they decide to do something like that. So those were just some of the, did you have anything to add to that? I know. So that's, you guys have any questions about
I do.
that? Yes.
So, first of all, I really think this is a very, very positive move. You keep some of your leaders, like you said, on class. And so what about lab classes? Are any of those online? Will they have to leave the campus for?
Yes, and those tend to work in their schedule better because those are 5 credit hour classes, so they already take up a 5 credit hour college class counts as 1 credit high school credit, so it's 2 class hours. So, and those lab classes are in the afternoon, so those do work normally well with their schedule because they can go to that class if it runs past school time and not into another class. So we do have quite a few students who do environmental life science, biology, physics.
If they're taking it online, the lab is also virtual.
Yeah.
So there's very rarely any type of in-person requirement unless it's a proctored test.
They can do the on-grounds one if there's one available. It tends to work better than some of those other classes.
So is calculus offered online?
Calculus is offered on grounds. Our
Okay,
kids
that's
take
what-
it on grounds and it's first hour. And that works well because it starts before, because we have Viking time in there, so it works well. They are still a little bit late sometimes to second hour, but not a lot. The teachers work with them. Calculus does work well, and it's 4 days a week.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, now it was 5, so it's still a little bit longer than it was. But we only have probably 4 or 5 a semester that take calculus.
Really?
But it does work for them to do it on grounds.
And David had a couple questions about
But,
how it
yeah.
might work.
I guess first, we'll get to those, but I guess, could you explain a little bit more too, as far as the students are limited to 2 off-campus and/or online college classes per semester? Because you had referenced earlier that it's like, okay, they could actually do 2 hours, or you could do more than 2 hours online, or not offline.
Not online. So
Okay.
either 2 classes, it could be 1 online, 1 at LCC, 2 online, plus whatever on-ground concurrent credit classes that we offer, which is quite a few. Like a lot of our students are doing
Okay.
CNA, A&P, those aren't in those 2. So this is outside. We're just trying to being gone and doing classes online to 2 a semester, so
Got it.
4 a year, which is a lot of, I'd say the majority of our students, that is what they do. But we're trying to also put them in hours that we can try to help monitor and make sure that they're
Those classes that are necessary for majority of a college degree, English composition 1 and 2, general psychology, public speaking. We offer history, American history here. They're taught by the high school teachers during the school day in person. So those classes would not count against their 2.
Okay. So talked about scheduling, if they're, have this extended hour, if you will, compared to our hours, how does that want to work?
Well, that's why we're saying most of them are doing them online, because they do not fit to go to the college, unless it's that calculus that's first thing in the morning, or some of those science classes during the afternoon, those will fit in there. But the ones that are in the middle of the day, they just don't fit in their schedule. That's why a lot of our students have gone to online. Our schedule doesn't match up with LCC's anymore, since they've gone to 4 days a week.
So then I guess one of the questions that we had talked about, as far as if you guys have an opportunity to speak with LCC, and as far as, their staffing to be able to accommodate maybe an influx of students first and second hour, as well as 6th and 7th
But
hour.
most of those students are doing them online, so that's not affecting they're not having to move staff anywhere. And most of those first and second, 6th and 7th are online classes. So that's not affecting them. I did try to get on grounds another math class, and they said, they couldn't.
They're moving more to an online.
Yeah, they are.
Tabitha, have any of the students, juniors, do they know about these changes?
Yes.
These proposed changes?
We met with
Did they
them
have any questions?
last week.
What
We had
questions did the
some,
students
but not,
have?
I thought that they would maybe be a little more in more of an uproar than they were. They just kind of took it in stride, and I've been planting little seeds.
You'll let us know about numbers,
Yeah.
because we don't want to see our numbers
No,
or anything.
no, I really think that they understand. When we tried to explain to them why we were doing it, and I think they understood that. This doesn't work for everyone, because one of the first students I worked with was a health science student, and I could not get the online class first, second, sixth, seventh, so the first ones.
So there is an exception.
Yeah, there is an exception. We're not going to say if it does not fit in first, second, sixth, seventh,
They
then we're
can't
not
do
gonna say
it.
you can't do
We're going
it.
to look at the individual.
Yeah, we're going to look at the individual
Well,
student.
that'll be
We'd like for the majority to be there so we can manage it, but there's going to be students that are outliers in there that just don't fit in that time. And obviously, we're not letting them do that. Not gonna hold
So
them back.
Kylie, you had a line up there that the Kansas Department of Education is looking for rigor. The Kansas Policy Institute is challenging the Kansas Department of Education, saying they want to base rigor on the state assessment scores, which is totally wrong, in my opinion. So schools and the Kansas Department of Education are going to define rigor. So have they come up with a definition? Because we talk about rigor all the time. What is it?
Subjective.
It is. I think
You don't have to answer now. You don't have to answer
We
now.
have
I
been
just,
talking about
we talk about it all the time.
I mean, and that's one of the reasons we went to AP
Yes.
and added that,
Exactly.
to add that additional regular.
Yeah. And this will be our first class. I gave them their test today, so we will get those results back this summer. So we'll this is going to be our first group to kind of see how it works.
Good.
We're having some growing pains, I feel like, with that, trying to figure out how we're going to, after they take AP and they get a certain score, what are we going to do? Are these kids going to go on to Comp 1? Are they ready? If they get a certain score, they actually will get college credit for that
Exactly.
Comp 1 and Comp 2. So we just don't know this year. It's just kind of trying to figure out what to do. We'll know more after the summer, how it works and what we need to do. So was pleased to find out that we were going to pay again for the AP.
So there's a fee for AP classes to be taken, and so the district covered that with at-risk funding this year, which I think we should be able to do. We plan to do next year as well. That way, every student that wants the opportunity and is willing to do the work, because it is a lot of work, they're willing to put it in, we're willing to support that.
So do we have scholarships for kids that might not be able to afford a college textbook that costs a couple $100?
A lot of them have gone away from, there's not a lot of them that have textbooks anymore. A lot of the classes our students take, the majority of them now, when they're in I just ended up from Red Zone to what's the new?
Canvas.
And so now they have their textbooks on there. So there's very few textbooks that our students have to buy anymore. So that's been great.
We ran into an issue, I don't know if it was in August or December now, but where a student, it was January, yeah, so new semester, spring semester, where a student had enrolled in a phlebotomy course and needed help financing the book, and the teachers rallied and chipped in and took a collection, so.
That's happened more than once, even with fees.
For years.
The teachers that were
For years that happened.
jumped in.
There's a
That's
need.
what we wanted. Remember we were having
Right.
meetings about.
Right.
The time you've spent to make sure it's so flexible that it could fit with any child. I mean, almost. I mean, and if not, they can apply
Yeah.
for the part-time, but it just looks like you've thought of everything.
We've worked really hard.
Appreciate it.
I'm trying. We're just to be successful. I've just been seeing kids that I don't want them to fail while they're in high school and when they're college transcripts. So I feel like we have a job to do to try to ensure that doesn't happen. So I feel like I'm trying to monitor it. I mean, they send us how often do we get those from LCC? Once a month?
At least, yeah.
They'll tell us if a student has a D or an F in there, but that's still, sometimes that's too late. We need to catch them earlier.
Well, this way the student has accountability
Yeah.
to go in and check in and say, here's what I'm doing in my class.
So wait until 10 o'clock.
Right.
Deadline's 11:59 on Sunday.
Yep, it's doing that.
Thank you guys
Thank
for all
you.
that you do. I know, Tabitha, you're always so quick to get back to me when I have questions, and Kylie, all the projects you do. I don't know how you do it, girl, but you are definitely an
She's gotta move on to the
asset.
fall, 'cause
Yeah,
that
you're
was
definitely an
a lot.
asset to this district and a jewel, so thank you. You're always so organized, and our kids benefit from both y'all and what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Glad to have college orientation back. I will say
Yes.
that's been I advocated
Yes.
for that, and
Thank
advocated
you.
to bring her for that. 'Cause we
You
kids
guys
are busy.
think of any
anytime.
other questions you might have pertaining to college orientation or college and career explorations or IPS advisory activities? I could drone on and on about the things that we're doing.
The majority of the seniors are taking college orientation because if they have the class, they don't have to come to Viking time once a week. And they need to come to Viking time once a week if they're not, so they can still get the information. It's not punishment or anything, but we want to make sure they still get the information. But most of them, I'd say the majority, and even this next year, I think even more. Juniors were having a little trouble getting them on board with the second semester one, but the seniors are
All right, thank you.
so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
They want us to bring them.
All right, item 7.0, report from the superintendent of schools.
All right, we are at the end of the school year already. Yesterday was graduation. It was well attended. was nice. May the 22nd is the last student day for everyone else. That's early dismissal. It's dismissal at noon. So there's still lunch being served, but they will get out at noon that day. And then staff will work on grades that afternoon. The next day, that Friday, May the 23rd, it's the last teacher day. It's also the district retirement luncheon at 11:30 that day at the high school. So if you'd like to come for a lunch and recognize those that are retiring, and we've got a number of retirements, we do. So we'll be celebrating those folks that day at 11:30. May the 26th, the district office will be closed for Memorial Day. And just as a reminder, we will have 3 vacant board positions open for the next election, January of 26th. But the filing deadline with the county clerk is at noon on June the 2nd. And that you have to go to Oswego to, I think it's like pay your $10 and fill out your paperwork. And so we have 3 of those positions that are vacant, and that filing deadline is June the 2nd. So if there's anyone listening to this recording that thinks, oh, maybe I want to be a board member, reach out. We've got plenty of information from the Association of School Board Members that give you some ideas of what it means. Or I'm sure you all would be welcome to
All right.
entertain questions. So that's what I have got.
All right, item 8.0, reports from the principals. High school, Rob Barkus and Tyler Thompson.
Just here really quickly, those schools winding down. Want to just let you guys know that school's not over when it's May 22nd. We have FCCLA going to Orlando, TSA going to Nashville, Speech and Debate are going to Des Moines, and Skills USA are going to Atlanta. So we have kids traveling all across the nation this summer. Also like to thank Kylie and Tabitha for their big help in graduation, and as well as Sherry Curtis, who helped with the program a lot. Thank you guys that attended. I do want to say on the college signing day, a lot of KU and not a lot of K-State kids.
I saw that.
That tells us.
It was lovely.
K-State guys
No
up here.
comment.
And then last week, was Teacher Appreciation Week. We had treats in the lounge for them with one day, treats from the district office, popcorn and Sonic drinks, and then one day Mr. Thompson grilled out for them for lunch. And that was a really good week, just to show our appreciation for our teachers.
Okay, activities-wise, start off with boys tennis. If you've been paying attention, we've killed it all spring. So top to bottom, they've won almost every tournament they played in. The only tournaments they didn't win were out of Wichita with some big schools out there, and I think they finished in second in those. They won league SEK as a team. They won league singles. They won league doubles. They won regionals as a team. They won regional singles, regional doubles. And they have a great chance to compete for a place at state. Hopefully first, but I think they have a real shot to for sure place. So really proud of those guys. Coach Posh, Coach Kennett doing a great job. Track and field, we have around 50 participants, boys and girls. They've placed second in a few meets. They've been right on the edge. They have regionals next week, and I think there's probably at least 4, maybe up to 6 that could qualify in their events. We've had school records broke, so we have some really good young athletes doing a great job, also representing us well at all the track meets. Boys golf, we have 6 guys out. Regionals coming up next week. Big improvement for most team, a lot of young guys on the team. Joe Kill, he went to state last year. He's got a real good shot to go again. He's been at the top of the leaderboard about every tournament. Girls swim, only 2 participants that stayed out. I think we started with 6 or 7. Ended up at 2, but we've seen their times improve a lot. They're doing a good job. Baseball, we're at 16 currently. We had some injuries, some other things going on. I came here from the game. We were ahead 11-0 at Altamont, so it's always a good thing. They need to win tonight and next week to qualify for regionals, so it's a big week for them. Softball, 22 participants, which that number keeps going up. That was down below having a varsity team a couple years ago. So that's really exciting to see. The Coach Liskas are doing a great job, and Coach Clark. They continue to improve. They've had a lot of close losses, and they're right on the fringe of qualifying for regionals. So they did lose 0-5 at Altamont tonight, but they have a chance to play later this week. Forensics, you guys probably already know this. Madeline Armitage is our all-time National Forensics League point leader. She's done a phenomenal job. Debate and forensics. If you're at graduation, you heard her name like 5 times for all the different stuff that she got, and she's a great person too. We've had 10, either 10 or 11 qualified to go to nationals, not state, nationals. So we had pretty much the whole team qualified to go to state, and out of that, we've had at least 10 that are going to Des Moines. We're going to compete up there. And Mr. Workman, our coach, won the 3rd Diamond Key Award, which is a pretty prestigious award in forensics. You have to be in for 15 years, and your contestants have to earn 60,000 points. So it's a pretty big deal for him. He does a great job. I walk into that class and I don't understand what's going on. But they're always so that's most of our activities that are going on right now, about to wrap up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. On the other side of it, the only thing I want to point out, I've told you about behavior referrals and how they're looking throughout the year. So now that we're at the end, we've got a little over a week left. We are still down over 50% on the year, so it's real close. And if we get like 6 or 7, it'll put us to where we're only down 49%. So I'm really hoping we can stay under that. And that's just a testament to the teachers and the staff buying in to what we asked them to do, what we came up with them together, some of their ideas, whether it's supervision, classroom management, expectations for students. They've done a phenomenal job all year long, and we're seeing it in the numbers, so it's a good thing to see.
And this is also the first year that we've had an additional athletic director. And so we've been able to have 2 full-time administrators there full-time. I think that speaks to part of the
I've
success
had
too.
way more time to focus on what's going on in the building than what's going on the field, so that's helped a lot.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you. And baseball won 12-2.
12-2?
Yeah.
They gave it a win.
Middle school, Tyler Gordon and Olivia Nolte.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Well, it's a busy time of year, so we've got activities going every which direction. We just finished up state assessments. Those won't come out. Those aren't out yet. I don't know when they'll come out. It could be October next year, maybe not at all. We've done that before too. So the way that we're measuring student achievement is FastBridge, and so that's something that's been consistent. We've been using it at the middle school for the past 4 years. And so FastBridge, 2 of the highlights that came from it is math met their growth goal, again, for a 2nd year in a row. And we've been using FastBridge for about 4 years, and so our teachers are becoming more effective. So math, it actually outshined ELA whenever we measured growth from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. That's also something new from the data that we're looking at. Typically, ELA in our building outperforms. In 8th grade, both math and ELA increased the number of students benchmarked from the previous year. So the students that are benchmarked are far more likely to perform a 3 or a 4, which is college bound on the state assessment. And so that benchmark is what we use to get an idea of how many 3s and 4s we're going to see. And so that number continues to increase again for the 3rd year in a row. Attendance, our average daily attendance continues to climb also. 3 years ago, it was at 93%. Last year, 94%, and this year we're looking at 94.5%. Here in the last 10 days of school, if we keep everybody showing up, we have good performance, we should be able to kind of tip it and get back up there to 95 and finish the year with another large growth. Chronic absenteeism, 3 years ago it was down at, chronic absenteeism was up at 29%. Last year it was 26, and this year we're looking at about 23. It changes from day to day and week to week right now because we're so close to the end and those numbers are so tight. And so we're hoping to finish strong and maybe get it back down to 21 where it was last week. And show you a little bit more growth. Field trips. We have 6th grade is going to be going to the Gathering Place in Tulsa coming up next week, the last week of school, that Wednesday that we're doing Action 8 and promotion with the 8th grade. The 6th grade is going to bail and they're going to go to Tulsa. 7th grade went to Explorer Place in Wichita last week. 8th grade went to Kauffman Stadium. They also toured the Negro Baseball Museum. and we went there last year, and it was a good experience. This year, they kind of doubled down on it, and they did a scavenger hunt inside of it. Mrs. Schaefer organized it. She tied it to her social studies curriculum, and so the students were. Last year we had plenty of time. We were kind of waiting around for like 5 minutes. This year was a lot smoother because we were kind of hustling the kids through it because it was time to go to Kaufman at that time. So we saw more engagement. I think that can continue next year. Promotion, we've got that coming up next week. Action 8 will rehearse promotion correctly 3 times, beginning at about 9:30. And then they'll be turned loose and they can go to the park and they have a field day basically. And then we'll come back that evening, and at 6 p.m. we'll do the promotion ceremony. And then the next day, something that we're doing new this year also is a field day all day on that last noon dismissal for the 6th and 7th graders that are still there. They're going to compete by Viking time and keep some scores, so that should be fun.
Now, when it gets pizza, so. Yeah. So athletics this year, for our tennis, we have about 7 kids and 1 from St. Pat's because we still co-op with St. Pat's for tennis and for golf in the spring. Track, we had 45 kids, which is higher than we've had in the past few years, which is awesome. And then golf, we had about 7, and 3 of those were from St. Pat's, and all of those kids showed lots of success this year. We saw lots of medals in track and in golf and in tennis, lots of improvement, which is what we look for in middle school. Our behavior referrals are also down. We're at 889 compared to 1,151 from last year. So we're trending in the right direction. And again, just like the high school said, it's really a tribute to our staff and how well they've been contacting parents. They've been on top of all of the minor disciplines so it doesn't turn into the major discipline. I've been really proud of them and how frequently they've been in communication with parents and with community, and I feel like everyone is really in the know with what's going on. Our OSS numbers are down, but our ISS numbers are up. But I think that's a good thing because we're keeping kids here and we're keeping them engaged and we're helping them stay with their curriculum and working through those restorative practices so that they're thinking through the behavior, what we can do differently, because middle school is such that learning time. We have to figure out those behaviors and address them instead of just, passing them on. Our violent incidences are also down, which again, thanks to our staff and their active supervision and addressing those small things before they can turn into big things. We talked about field day. Summer weights are coming up. We'll start those in June. We have a full June calendar with all of our different activities. We have weights Monday through Thursday. So boys and girls will go at the same time, but we'll switch weight room and gym or activity field so they're not in the weight room together, which allows for better supervision. And then our girls will all get to lift together and our boys all lift together. And then from there, they'll go into sports-specific things. So volleyball, football, basketball all have separate times so they can try out all of the different sports. Something this week we have coming up that is really exciting is that 5th grade transition night. We did it last year. We called it Middle School Survival Guide, and we're doing it again this year. And last year we had a great turnout. We had about 200 people. So we feed them dinner.
And that's just one grade level.
Yes, so it was parents, families, siblings, they all come. Feed them dinner first, and then we con them into listening to us speak, and then they get to do a scavenger hunt in the building. So they get to know what the building is like, kind of find some different places, and that's following that day, they'll come over with their classes. So the idea is with their classes, they'll tour around, and then when they're coming with their families that night, they'll get to show their families around and take ownership for that. I think that helps ease their minds a little bit, because when they're coming from one class into this big middle school, it's scary, but helping ease that transition is always good. And then one other thing that we're planning for this summer, Mr. Brickies, myself, Mrs. Hill, and Mr. Dixon have been working on what we're thinking of calling Viking Fest. So a back to school celebration in August this year, and really getting together all of the community organizations that are involved in helping our students be successful, whether it's Sparkwheel, mental health, CHC, anything that we can do to help support those students and those families, getting them all in one place as kind of like a back to school kickoff. And yeah, working on enrollment there, sharing some more about like girl share rooms, and we're gonna have like kids activities, food, just one big party for back to school. And
But also a great time for them to get their school supplies, sign up
Yes.
for PTO, Julie, and Booster Club.
We
and-
don't have a middle school PTO, Jeff.
it's for all, not
It'll
just
be
middle
for-
school.
This will be for everybody.
Oh, for everybody?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Viking
Oh,
Fest.
no, I thought
Early
Julie was just
childhood.
gonna start the middle school PTO.
I
That's
know.
what I heard.
You can do
Yeah,
that too.
But I don't have a kid in there for a couple of years. Give me some time.
Okay.
We've been talking about family engagement and how we can improve
I
that.
love that.
And this was something we used to do years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
We used to do it in the park, and we had haircuts and a variety of things. But they've got some really good ideas about hosting it on campus, getting parents and families in the schools and outside. And so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
So if you have any ideas of what you could use at Viking Fest, let me know. Or organizations that would want to be involved, really anything that can support our kids and we can get parents connected to, all in one place, a one-stop shop.
Yep. You can do it all.
That's all I
All
got.
right, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank
All right.
you, y'all.
Elementary,
Congratulations.
Kurt Freeze, Barney Pontius,
you.
and Shelley Gardner, por favor.
Good enough, Tyler.
I'm not saying anything.
I know.
Let's get food trucks. Food trucks.
Oh, yeah, food drives.
Hop on this, Jeff. You know, like this. Jump houses, no, we do.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You guys having a good evening?
Yeah.
Readers on, grown-up glasses. A lot of things happen really fast here at the end of the year. Just so many things are happening. It's a lot of reward activities and a lot of incentives for our students. We don't know, as said earlier, we won't know how our kids did on our state assessments. I like the way Ms. Piva said it. She feels like our kids were well prepared and had a chance to be successful. Mr. Holmes was a little upset there wasn't near as much grammar had been on in the past. That's always kind of what happens, but we're hoping to have some positive results. Our FASTers results are coming in. They're not finalized yet, but we feel like, again, earlier, you know, at Christmas time, we had 75% of our kids showing what we could consider to be typical or excessive growth in math, or aggressive growth in math, and almost 60% in reading. So if that carries on, we'll feel really good about that. And then I mentioned Ms. Piva earlier, we track a lot of what our kids do. Our study island, we have 75 kids that have earned a taco mile meal from Ms. Piva. She goes and she gets it in Mr. Holmes' class and Ms. Brim's class, both all passed all their subjects, so they got, the whole class has got to go. In our building, right, if you walk in our hallways, our IXL leaderboard gets updated every month. Johnny McGeese is on top of the leaderboard right now. He's got 276 skills passed, but I'm not supposed to talk about it because there's a competition going between a bunch of them. Our leaderboard, we're going to take a lot of kids bowling this Friday. Just a lot of, and then our perfect attendance, Miss Martinez tracks that for me every week. We spin the wheel. Some of our kids think that's gambling, but it's not gambling. But they do like winning, and it's fun the way they cheer for each other, which is, you like to see that their kids treat each other well. But got a lot of fun things planned. We're gonna have snow cones the last couple of days, and taking some kids to my wife's tumbling gym. Just a lot of rewards for a lot of hard work. So trying to keep up.
Thanks, Reese. Let's see. I'm on the clock. Garfield Elementary. We've had a really spectacular year. Several items to update on. First, we'd like to thank the district leadership and Board of Education for allowing us to participate in some real-world learning experiences at George Washington Carver and the Exploration Place. The kids love that. Our kids especially sometimes don't get to go to some of those things, so for us to provide those real-world life experiences has just been outstanding. They really enjoyed the trips, and sometimes I think maybe they won't like the George Washington Carver as much, but they love it. So it's really informational, and the teachers do a great job emphasizing it. Our Pennies for Poems was last week. Outstanding event. outstanding turnout for this great literacy event. We've officially gone over a decade with Pennies for Poems, so that's a really long-standing tradition that's still working just great. Our students got lots of compliments from other districts who happen to be at regional tennis at the same time, so that was kind of cool. We got at least 2 people from other districts approach me, and then teachers and staff also mentioned some positive comments. We still have a lot coming up. Our building visits to Guthridge and Lincoln's visit for us is coming up tomorrow. Our color walk will be held 5 p.m. this Thursday at Forest Park. Come on out, enjoy a hot dog, get dirty, and take home a book. This colorful event is one of our yearly highlights. We will take a little time on Monday afternoon for our Garfield Field Day. Mr. Liska and Mr. Strathy do a really nice job with this and have some snow cones to boot on that day. Wednesday, May 21st, we'll round out our year's last 2 events. Fourth quarter awards assembly and our talent show will both be held on that day respectively. As you know, our second grade students this year got to participate in optional ELA reading state assessment. I was able to download the reports today, the first day they popped out, so I got to include something on there. It was broken into 3 parts, essentially kind of like an interim or a formative type assessment. The first part, there was 19 test items on foundational reading, and then there was informational reading and literature, and then informational. So it was broken down into 3 sections, I should say. I haven't really got all of it disaggregated yet, but I wanted to get as much in as I could. 19 test items on reading foundational. 40% of our second grade students scored perfect on their foundational skills. 25% missed an additional 25% missed 1 single test item. So 65% scored 18 or 19 out of 19 possible on our foundational. So that's a big takeaway. What we feel like we're doing there is creating kids who can not learn to read to learn. So we hope that we're really turning that corner. Very, very big deal. We hope that it really does show a lot of the kindergarten through second grade kind of standards. So those foundational skills, we hope really do stick with them. We've really focused on reading foundational skills this year, so we're really happy that came out that way. District assessments, Mr. Freeze mentioned those, as did the middle school. Our A reading test, which is our reading district assessment, moved 17 students out of high risk and some into our low risk and college pathways in second grade. That's 22% of our students who moved from the lower 2 tiers to low risk and college pathway in second grade. Additionally, third grade moved another 4 students out of our lowest tiers for a building total of 21 students moved out of our highest risk tiers in our district assessments. Math, we also did very well. Second grade moved 20 from the highest risk categories into the top 2 tiers, and third moved an additional 11 out of high risk. When we look at our highest tier of college pathway students, Garfield moved 33 students building-wide into that very top tier of college pathway on our Fast Bridge assessment, which is outstanding. A huge thank you due to our teaching and support staff, along with our families and students, for their amazing hard work. We're really proud of them. They did a great job. Our state assessment results, as already been mentioned, won't be available until fall, so we can't talk about those yet, but we're hoping for the best. I tell the teachers all the time, the hay's in the barn. So we did the best we could. We prepared the students. So far the data is tracking along with that, so we hope to see great things in the fall. Looking forward to a fun, exciting rest of the year. We aren't done yet. We still have a little bit left to do.
That's right. And at Lincoln, these last 9 days are really busy. We did celebrate Teacher Appreciation Week last week. And like as far as field trips and activities and rewards, we've got tomorrow we're going to get to go to Garfield, our first grade, and get to meet the teachers and Mr. Pontius and get to see the building and kind of maybe hopefully ease some of that anxiousness in some of them. And also on the kindergarten is going to be going to Cherry on Top. Pre-K is going to go to the Independent Zoo. On the 16th we have Field Day. Mr. Tanner with Spark Will is taking that on, and he is going to do his very first field day for Lincoln. So, can't wait to get them all out there. Kindergarten's going to go to Forest Park. On May 20th, first grade's going to have a small awards assembly. They're also going to have Purple Cow Day, so if you want to see some teachers dressed up in cow costumes, that would be a way to come. We also are going to have our talent show. On the 21st, kindergarten is going to do a small promotion. They're going to kind of split up. They're going to have 2 classes do one at 8:45 and then 3 classes do one at 10 o'clock. Also, May 21st is that last pre-K day because that's the last full day of school, so they both get to come. We're also finishing up fast bridge testing and benchmark testing with that, so hopefully get all that done and get the results in. We do have our attendance contest is still going on. Mr. Tanner has decided that the class with the biggest percentage of attendance gets to throw water balloons at him on that last day. So I know, I'm excited because I figure I'm in every class. So we're gonna have a lot of fun.
So Barney, quick question. What, you use the term high-risk readers. What is that?
I'm sorry, with reference to our district assessments, is that what you're talking about, Lou?
Yeah.
High risk is just the bottom category. It's just Fastbridge's nomenclature for the bottom category. That's just what the high risk category is just our lowest. They go high risk, some risk, low risk, and college pathway is essentially how they delineate their benchmarks.
Interesting terminology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barney, do you want to talk about what you use the pennies for poems money for?
I don't know what they're going to do as far as charitable contribution, but the Pennies for Poems money, the experience, they talked a lot about fundraising for the Pennies for Poems and what we should use those funds for. And it's my perspective that the kids should get to enjoy the funds that they raise. That's just kind of the basis of fundraising in Garfield, or anywhere really, best practice. So our kids got to visit, our second grade crew got to visit Cherry on Top, and they got to go do some career exposure. They got to see the kitchen, talk about running a business. They got to each have their own, scoop of ice cream. So it was a really good experience. The kids loved it. They utilized that. And I think we're going to continue to try to do that each year. They're going to set aside a prudent reserve out of the funds each year from Pennies for Poems. And then they're going to determine if there's enough for a charitable contribution along with an experience for the kids. So currently that's what they did. And I believe last year, I think they sent it to PALS, but I'm not sure who they're going to send it to this year. So I think the kids usually get input on there. So
I just think it was such a cool opportunity that they got to visit a local business as second graders.
And that's part of that career exposure that we do at the elementary level. So we kind of feel like that's part of our job to kind of get that out there a little bit and just start those little baby steps into thinking about businesses in the community and things like that.
They were serious about the money.
Oh, yeah.
They were real serious. Like every time a kid wrote, "Are you going to add more?" Yes, yes. I had a whole bag. I'm glad.
Miss Bonnie taught them how to do that. Give them a look and wait for the deposit.
Oh, it was fantastic.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, item 9.0, report from the Board of Education, Tri-County Board meeting. Leanne Hunter.
Okay, we don't have our meeting this month until Wednesday.
Oh.
And Kayla's going to go for me.
Okay.
I'm going to Phoenix. Thank you, Kayla.
They have good snacks. It's okay.
All right, item 10.0, new business action on update to 2025-26 high school course description handbook on page 32.
Right, and so that's the update that included the information on the LCC dual concurrent classes that they were just talking about.
Any questions? If not, we need a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passed. Item 10.1, action to accept donations to schools, page 33.
Okay. Page 33, here we go. So we will start out at Garfield. There was a donation from Labette Bank, restricted testing t-shirts, $400. Book fair unrestricted donation, $17.37. Staff made restricted donations, $161, for a total of $578.37 at Garfield. Guthridge PTO made a donation for conference food, $175 for that total this month. There weren't any at the middle school either. At the high school, there was an anonymous donation to Skills USA for $50. There, Julie and Robert Legler made a $200 donation to TSA. Parsons Media Group made a $200 donation for the TSA program. Eye Care Associates of Parsons made a $200 donation for the TSA program. Strategic Partners, a $200 Donation for the TSA program, Wave Wireless made a $200 donation to the TSA program. 503 chipped in $200 to the TSA program. There were anonymous donations of $50 for the PHS boys basketball program. Curious Minds Discovery Zone made a donation to the FACS program for $400. Parsons Ministerial Association made a $100 donation to the vocal music program. Anonymous students made $305.78 in penny war donations for the benefit of Natalie Brewer. Our FCCLA program received an anonymous donation of $15, and Bowen Pharmacy made a donation to the Viking Farms Greenhouse, $1,500, for a total of $3,620.78 at the high school. So the total district donations for March of 2025, $4,374.15.
Okay, need a motion to accept those donations?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 10.2, action on the following job descriptions: payroll clerk, receptionist, high school guidance office registrar, school secretary, administrative assistant to superintendent, clerk of the board.
Those job descriptions were included in the view on May the 2nd and then are included in yours.
So any questions or comments?
Move to approve.
Second.
Move to approve second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 10.3, discussion and action on technology fees for the 2025-26 school year.
So last year at the regular Board of Education meeting, the board unanimously voted to waive, and it should say technology instead of textbook, but that's what it was. For last year, those fees were waived. Now, this is separate than the cost for a repair or a replacement. So there could be charges to a student to repair or to replace lost, stolen, or broken equipment. But to just have the equipment to use, last year there was not a technology fee assessed for the use of that.
Move to approve the same policy.
All right, moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And
Item 10.4, discussion and possible action to waive textbook fees for the 2025-26 school year.
And this is the same. The majority of our textbooks have now gone online. So there are a few things that students carry, but the backpacks are not near as heavy as they used to be because we simply don't have the textbooks. Also hard copies.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 10.5, action on 2025-26 middle school course description handbook.
Okay, and so the first reading of the handbook was last month. There has been an addition that was sent out in your board in the envelope. It didn't make the board's packet because it came a little bit later, the leadership class, that would be added to the middle school course description handbook.
Need a motion?
That's what moved.
Move.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action on elementary reading curriculum. I'll let you explain that.
Okay, so it's into reading from Houghton Mifflin, which is what the group selected this year. And I don't know, Jeff, if you want to talk about, he had different groups, instructional coaches, teachers come, and this was...
Last year, we adopted the math curriculum, if you remember, and it was a 7-year subscription the same way. And we have, we get samples of different curriculum companies. Those are in the buildings for probably 6 months. The grade level teams look at them. They look at pros and cons. We have a representative from every grade level, administrators and instructional coaches that forms a curriculum council. They talk about each one of the samples, pros and cons, and then we come to a consensus. We play the companies against each other a little bit, trying to get the best bang for a buck. We go through the materials list of what we really need, what we really don't need, plus the professional development we want to need. So it's a very thorough process, and we're really excited about Into Reading. It's a little change from what we've had, so that's the recommendation of the curriculum council.
So that is, the total cost for that's $157,503. That is 7 years worth of material, training, and the online subscription. And it is also eligible as an evidence-based practice on the list for at-risk funds. So those would be the funds to pay for that.
Any questions or comments?
What'd you say, the at-risk funds will pay for that?
Yes, it will. For this particular series, because
Thanks for negotiating.
that's,
I'm
yeah.
glad that you negotiated.
He did.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, need a motion to approve.
So moved.
So
Second.
moved. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right,
10 minutes.
how much do you need?
I just need 10. I think I get it done in 10.
10 minutes? Item 10.7, executive session to discuss personnel matters for non-elected personnel. Need a motion as stated for 10 minutes.
Move we go into executive session to discuss confidential employee information pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception in Oklahoma at 7:08. 10 minutes. We'll return back here 7:18.
Second.
Move to second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, we are back, thank you. Item 10.10, action to approve reemployment of classified staff and full-time substitute teachers for 2025, 2026.
It's on page 46 through 48. It's recommended for the 25-26 school year.
So moved. Yep, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item
10.11.
Is this,
That's the new one.
that 1012, so we're on
1012 is the
1011.
new one, but 1011 is the corrected.
All right, action to approve summer supplemental assignments and summer school assignment, page 49.
And there was that one correction on there.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 1012 with the addendum, action on personnel.
Okay, so we have 2 resignations for retirement. Bruce Ray, high school drafting teacher, effective the end of the 24-25 school year, and Nancy Steiner, high school math teacher, effective the end of the 24-25 school year. I recommend that you approve those resignations for retirement.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, so resignations from employment. Sharon Bilbin, sub-bus monitor, effective April the 30th, 2025. Jamarian Green, kindergarten aide, effective end of the 24-25 school year. Linda Holding, sub-bus driver, effective April 25, 2025. Jim Huckabee, high school part-time custodian, effective May the 2nd, 2025. Jamario Kendrick, high school assistant football coach, effective April the 25th, 2025. West Kroll High School girls basketball coach, effective May the 6th, 2025. West Kroll High School head track coach, effective May the 6th, 2025. And Kaylin Yeoman, Garfield behavior support aide, effective end of the 24-25 school year. I have some more over here. I'm turning the page. How about Bailey Monty, high school volleyball coach, effective April the 22nd, 2025. Paxton Swanson, maintenance tech, effective May 2nd, 2025. And Kayla Tollifer, evening adult sweeper at Garfield, effective May the 22nd of 2025.
Right.
Wait, I need to correct something. So for West Kroll High School head track coach, that would be effective at the end of the 24-25 school year. I don't want to say effective May the 6th because we're still running track and we're going to make some statements. So that his is going to be the end of
2024-25.
And now I think I've got it right.
Okay.
Okay.
Need a motion to approve those resignations.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Transfer.
All right, so we've got 2 transfers in employment. Hope Smith will be moving from a middle school social studies teacher, which that position's being absorbed, to the middle school reading interventionist, which is what Janelle Smythe has done. And Katrina Strode will be moving from a 3rd grade position to a 2nd grade position based on student enrollment. We need 4 of each. So both of those.
All right, need a motion for these transfers.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Recommendations for employment.
All right, we've got Krista Fisher, fifth grade teacher, effective the 25-26 school year. Cami George, part-time custodian, effective May the 5th, 2025. Wes Kroll, middle school assistant principal, athletic director, effective the 25-26 school year. And Andrew McLean, maintenance tech, effective May the 5th, 2025.
All right, need a motion for recommendations for employment?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. We are adjourned.
All right, thank you.